Hello, and a big welcome to Susanne Chishti, who's the CEO of FINTECH Circle and co-editor of the FINTECH Book series. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ben, for inviting me.
Now, I understand you're an FMLS veteran.
Yes, I am.
How many years have you been going?
Since 6 years already, so I'm a big fan of FMLS, and I've been here, I think, since almost like the first or second time.
Okay, and how have you seen it change over the years?
I mean, you became bigger, I think even more successful, many more participants are here. I think now I see it very lively. I think the industry is back after COVID. Everybody loves, in-person meetings, in-person conferences. So I think it's hopefully a good basis for the rebuild, of our economy post-corona.
Excellent. Now, Susanne, you're the CEO of FINTECH Circle. Please explain to our audience what FINTECH Circle does and what your focus is on.
Yes, FINTECH Circle, we invest in fintech startups, so we're an early stage investor network, and our goal is to find the best fintech startups to deploy money in at early stage, so normally after family and friends are finished, before the venture capital sector starts. That's where angel investors come in. And so that's one of our goals, is really to provide early stage seed capital. The second of our goals is to educate the market, almost like you do, Ben, on fintech trends, on new technologies, on AI, on machine learning, new business models. And so we wrote 7 books already, and they are crowdsourced, which leverages our FINTECH Circle community, which consists of more than 200,000 people now. And what we did, for our books, we defined fintech verticals. So we said, fintech is the umbrella term, but we've got payment technology, very important here, it's PAYTECH. We've got WealthTECH technologies, WealthTECH. We've got insurance, InsurTECH, AI, LEGALTECH. And so what we did is we wrote books for each of those verticals under the FINTECH Book series, which is published by Wiley. And the latest book is for beginners. It's called FINTECH for Dummies. It's the Dummy series, which we all know from Wiley as well. And so it really gives a big picture overview, what is FinTech, what are the stakeholders doing, and how can you get involved, either as a banker, who wants to jump ship and enter the technology sector, or as an investor, how to invest in FinTech companies, or as a corporate buyer, who really wants to know what fintech innovation is out there, which I could license, which I could buy, which I could invest in as a corporate venture arm, so really to understand holistically how the system works and whom I can work with for my own corporate goals.
Fascinating. Do people come to you, or do you go to them, or is it a mixture of both?
It's a combination of both. So fintech startups come to us, for raising funding. Financial institutions often come to us to get access, to fintech companies, or to set up innovation projects, setting up like an internal accelerator, for example. So it's a combination of companies coming to us to be connected, in the fintech world, and to find the right partner to work with.
Excellent. Now, today you're one of the speakers in
Yes.
the panels, and it's a panel I'm excited about, FinTech for Good.
Yes.
Explain more. It's not just a buzzword. Explain more about that.
Yes, it actually, I think, summarizes the best what our industry offers, which is really fintech solutions to improve our society. And it reaches from financial inclusion, where we've got 2 billion people with no bank accounts. And it also starts at home. I mean, even in the UK, we've got 4 million people with no bank accounts. It's incredible.
Wow.
And so when you think about all these people who are excluded from financial services, then you've got the area where we have got an inequality. Thinking about women. Women don't have enough, or don't have the same amount of pension savings than men do.
Yes.
And they don't save, they don't invest as much. So there are targeted fintech solutions to help women start investing, saving. We have got fintech insurance solutions now to help also society by helping to get claims paid out quicker.
Okay.
So it's about what can the fintech sector do to support people who have been excluded in the past or who are currently excluded. And also when we think about our cost of living crisis, which we have to face, unfortunately, because based on
It's possible not to think about it when you go to the supermarket, the petrol station.
Exactly. It's incredible how inflation is more than 10% here in the UK. Globally, it's skyrocketing. I think we have reached a 40-year high, in terms of where we are in inflationary environment. And we also have reached a time where people's budgets are squeezed, so we see so many household deficits, and many more, mortgages will default in the future. So we have got a financial crisis for many households, and the issue was with financial services that often these services were very expensive to provide because you had high fixed costs to pay, like the branch network, high fixed costs. Now having a mobile app, you don't have all of that. So you can provide those services at lower costs, and therefore customer segments which had been unprofitable in the past can become profitable now, and you can service them at scale in a profitable way. So you can do and implement ESG goals while still offering a very good financial solution for your end customers, for your partners. And that's what FinTech for Good is all about, is to really to make it, to bring it to life, which FinTech solutions help society, help vulnerable customers, and improve our lives at the end of the day.
Excellent. I mean, one thing that I've been very impressed by FinTech Circle is that education.
Yes.
Education is central, and I know that in a lot of discussion we've had everyone's about how to get the unbanked banked.
Yes.
Is education. Now, I think you guys have the way you explore the different media with the books as well, and I understand you've got a film coming out now, isn't it? Premiering next week?
It is, exactly.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, exactly. The film is called FinTech for Good. It's a co-production between FinTech Circle and ITN.
Okay.
And it's our third film, and this film is dedicated to FinTech for Good. And I give you some highlights, what it will cover. So it will cover company solutions. For example, let's imagine you are in a flooding in the UK. In the past, insurance companies would have measured the time from when you filed your claim until your claim was approved as their KPI.
Yeah.
But if you are sitting in a wet house, your carpet is gone and your furniture has been destroyed, this KPI is no meaning to you.
Yeah. Because
for you, the KPI starts when your house got flooded to the time your money is in your account, so you can renovate your house. And now there are new InsurTECH solutions out there which allow this to happen in 5 hours. So that's what FinTech for Good is all about, helping those victims of floods, of hurricanes, creating a more equal financial services sector. And also it's also about decentralized finance. We talk about DeFi a lot, and decentralized finance allows us to cut out middlemen and to allow often for services to provide it at real time, payments at real time at lower cost. So when you think about remittance payments, there shouldn't be a premium, because often we say there's a premium to be poor. Often the poorest people pay the highest amount for sending FX payments abroad, and this shouldn't be the case. And decentralized finance will make a huge improvement in this area as well.
Excellent. Now, talk previously about being an investor.
Yes.
And how has the investment landscape changed this year, especially with events going on recently with FTX, etc. I mean, what are your tips for startups looking for money?
Yeah, I think this year the investor landscape has become much more selective, in the terms that we as investors, you look not just at revenue growth, but you want to see what is your path to profitability.
Yeah.
So at what stage will you turn profits? At what stage will your unit economics make sense, that you have got the profitability in per product, per customer segment, and where people become more discerning about your client acquisition costs, and how long does your client have to stay with you until the client acquisition costs are paid back, before you turn again profitable. And so for startups raising funding, it's a much harder environment, because often at the beginning you don't have those metrics.
Yeah.
And so you need probably to rely more on family, friends, on your support network to get off the ground. But the key thing is for those companies who have raised funding already to reduce your burn rate so that your money lasts longer, and to be more more focused on the quality of your earnings, the quality of your financial metrics, because investors will look for that. And lots of investors now, they want to look at the best companies and at lower valuations. So there is a pressure, on valuations coming down. We've seen that with Klarna as the best example, from 45 billion down to 6 billion, within a year. So lots of companies see a significant reduction in valuations, which of course means for previous investors down rounds, which investors don't want to see, but that's what we are seeing at the moment. So it's a harder environment to raise funding, but equally the positive side, I think, is good companies always got access to capital.
Yeah.
So if you've got a good idea, a good company, there will be money for you to raise capital, but it will be a little bit longer probably. The fundraising journey, due diligence will be harder.
Gotcha. So do you think the business model has changed? Like I think about a lot of the fintech companies, and it's all about growth.
Yes.
All about growth, onboarding customers. Don't worry about profit, let's just get growth.
Yes.
And now there seems to be a lot more focus on, okay, you need to be profitable.
Yes.
Has that changed? I mean, has there been a definite shift in that?
I do think so. I think now, because in the past, lots of companies were kept alive by venture capital funding.
Yeah.
They were unprofitable for years, and the light was kept on, by VC funding. Now, when the VCs stop funding those companies, unless you turn profitable, you can't survive, because you can't. You have to go. You can't make it. And so you're totally right. I think profitability is a key metrics now, and much more than in the past. And companies need to show their way to profitability much faster, and investors otherwise will become impatient.
Yeah.
So I think that's a reality which we are in now.
So following on, what trends are we seeing now, or we're going to see in 2023?
Yeah, I would say one of the key areas which we see is a trend about green finance, green fintech. So it's focused on ESG, the environment, social governance aspects, but of course focuses on net zero. How can we achieve net zero globally? In order to ensure that our planet is protected and our livelihoods, and our countries worldwide are not, facing flooding, and we don't have worldwide emigrations happening because people can't live anymore where they are born, because of environmental disasters. So I think ESG is a key element in environmental developments, and we call this space green finance, green fintech. So we see more in terms of how can individuals track their carbon footprints.
Okay.
So there's the question of, Ben, are you carbon obese? I don't know if I'm carbon obese if I don't know my carbon footprint. And so there are fintech solutions now which help measure our carbon footprints as individuals, but also as companies. Because if you can draw a baseline, you know where you are, you can then determine what are your goals to reduce your carbon footprint over time. We also see more in terms of leveraging technology such as satellite images.
Okay.
How can you use satellite images to tell you where you have to reforest cities, where you have to plant more trees, to help people if there's another heat wave in the summer, to find cooler spots and to more shades. So I think we can see more technologies being applied to smart cities, which again helps helps extreme weather conditions. So green finance, financial inclusion is a key trend, and the last one I would say is embedded finance.
Okay.
We see much more about embedded finance, which is about how can we embed financial services in customer journeys. So it's about not anymore having to go to your bank to get a loan, to get a mortgage, but you do everything online nowadays. Or when you want to buy a property, maybe the insurance, the mortgage is all built into your customer journey to make it easier for the customer to get what they want at the right time. So that's a huge trend, is embedded finance, embedded payments, embedded insurance. So an exciting year ahead, Ben.
Brilliant, you heard it here first. Susanne, I know you've got a panel soon, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing. Thank you so much for your time here and your insights, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.